Steen. Tom, sorry. He has an interesting article today on Green Bay. He said everybody's beating him up for the draft for not getting a wide receiver. And I said I felt they should have taken a wide receiver over a linebacker. But Tom does point out this. Each of the last 3 Super Bowl teams, top 10 in defense, scoring defense. The last time the Packers won a Super Bowl, they were number 1 in scoring defense. The Super Bowl they won before 31, they had the number 1 scoring defense. And 6 of their last 7 first-round picks have been defensive players. And so everybody in the media is like, get a receiver, get a receiver, get a receiver. And I did think it was a bigger need this year. But what's interesting in this article, what Tom is pointing out is the Packers are now going to be a run-first team and led by their defense. Is Aaron comfortable with that? But I don't think it's by accident. Because I think over the course of your life, when things stop working, stop doing them. Right? The slick passing game Packers, it's not working. Yes, you're winning a crappy division. Your last 16 playoff games, you're 7-9. You had 1 scoring drive last year in your playoff game at home. Several home losses. It's not working. Congrats on winning a lousy division. Somebody's got to win the Pac-12 too. But for all his talent, what Green Bay is telling you is he's not really a centerpiece guy. Now, we'll have a great run game. A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones are fantastic duo. Probably second in the league, in my opinion, after maybe Chubb and Kareem Hunt in Cleveland. But there's no proof that if you put the franchise on Aaron's shoulders, he'll just carry you through the flaws. No, he won't. No, he won't. Got proof. He has one come-from-behind playoff win in his career. Matt Stafford had 2 last year. The minute you gave Matt Stafford a functional culture, Matt's like, put it on my shoulders. Brady's like, put it on my shoulders. Peyton Manning, put it on my shoulders. Not many of those guys. Mahomes, put it on my shoulders. I think Josh Allen's one of those guys. I think Justin Herbert could be. Aaron's not. Aaron's his own guy. What you do is you take his enormous gifts, and he is gifted. You take his enormous talent, his significant IQ, and you say, listen, we're going to have defense and run, and we're going to use your gifts to sort of in spots. But we're not asking you to throw 8 innings. We're not going to do that. We've been doing that now for several years. You have 1 come-from-behind playoff win. So Tom's article is really interesting. And he does say in here, how will Aaron deal with it? Aaron's his own guy. He's his own culture. But you start looking at this article, and this is why Green Bay is going defense. Favre's last Super Bowl, top defense, scoring defense. Aaron's only Super Bowl, top scoring defense. And by the way, not every quarterback is a put it on my shoulders. Sean McVay got Matt Stafford. And I know enough people within the Rams. McVay was saying some things publicly, but he didn't want to sound like he was bad-mouthing Goff. McVay was telling people, through my connections with the Rams, McVay was telling people, this guy's got the highest, forget IQ, EQ I've ever seen. You can put unbelievable stress on Matt Stafford, and it's just, maybe it's parents, maybe whatever it is. I don't know what it is. He's like, Stafford is never, ever flustered. Ever. It doesn't matter. We saw him in the playoffs. The team was falling apart in Tampa. He's like, I got this. We saw it in the Super Bowl. Team is flustered, no look path. I got this. Not everybody has that. So the article's really interesting, and it kind of defends the Packers, saying, listen, this franchise, we've tried the slick passing game. It's not working. It's winning a lousy division. Who cares? In the end of the year, somebody's got to win all these bad college conferences. Are you winning championships? Not unless you're the SEC. All right, hour 3. Next.
For Baker Mayfield, since the Browns acquired Deshaun Watson earlier this offseason, and he is likely going to have to wait a little bit longer to find a new team. According to Ian Rappaport, no movement is expected with Baker until June at the earliest, and there's no real deadline to make anything happen. And sadly, this is an example of how not to handle your situation with a team.
Yeah, well, it was very Baker tends to go public, and so I don't always think that's. Listen, I'll say this. You always have a right to defend yourself, and you should always be able to tell in your life your story. Don't let other people define who you are. They don't have any idea. You know who you are in America. Don't let people tell you who you are. So there are times with Baker that I will defend him. I don't think he's a bad guy, and I do think he's one of the 32 best quarterbacks. But I do think he can be a little abrasive without having to be abrasive or defensive. And I think a lot of people now view him as a bridge. Just a bridge guy who's certainly talented, but they don't want to build their culture around him. He's kind of got like I said this about James Harden. Some athletes feel like their own culture. Like Aaron Rodgers is his own culture. James Harden is his own culture. Baker's got a little bit of that feeling. I never have a problem with any American defending themselves, but don't defend yourselves constantly. Like it feels like you're constantly battling people. I feel with him, there's just this toxicity, and he's always chip on his shoulder, and it's like, use that once a year. Like there should be a card. Soccer's got a yellow card or red card.
Yeah.
You should go to I'm defending myself. Go to that mountain about once a year. I felt like he was going to it every weekend, and even the Cleveland media eventually, they're just exhausted from it.
Well, yeah, you're still under contract. You still want to play. You can't call out an entire organization. Other organizations see that. They see how you're going to react to a situation. You're a good player. Sometimes it's okay to just step back and see how it plays out.
Yeah. Alex for the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd.
So, basketball's funny. This is where I totally separate from people on the internet. So for me, like basketball, I want guys who play defense. That's why I never really bought into like the Westbrook phenomenon or the James Harden phenomenon like everybody else. They just play no defense. Carmelo Anthony, I never bought into him. He'd score 28, he'd give up 24. No leadership. I think leadership matters. I think, do you play at least some defense? Are you good late? Are you dependable? Can you be somebody I can build a culture around? But everybody in this basketball world, I feel like I'm on an island of sanity. Everybody's like, triple-double. Russell Westbrook has never been the most valuable player on his own team. He's the most talented in Oklahoma City when Durant left. But I don't think he translates the value. So I just don't get it. So I was thinking of all the players left right now in the NBA. To me, here's my top 10 most valuable players. Valuable. I would start with Draymond Green. He is, after Steph Curry, he's the heart and soul of this franchise for 10 years. He always shoots well in the playoffs. He's shooting almost 55%. And they've outscored opponents by 70 points when he's on the floor and been outscored significantly. Go ahead, push it. When he's not. So Draymond Green, 10. Number 9, Jimmy Butler. Now, Jimmy's a great athlete, and he tends to be a very good post-season player. Like, he steps his game up in the playoffs, which I love. He outscored Trae Young in that series. He's an athlete more than a closer. You could even see last night. He's a guy I think you can build a culture around because he's so committed to defense. He's so committed to playing hard every night. So Jimmy Butler, number 9. I would say Devin Booker is 8, a better offensive player than Jimmy Butler, and he's averaging almost 25 a night. You saw how valuable he was in the playoffs when he was gone for a couple games. He's their get-a-bucket guy. This is the simplest way to put it. They're 52-10 when Chris Paul and Devin Booker play. So this is, when these guys are both hitting their shots, this backcourt is lethal. You get the athletic 2, you get the feisty IQ 1, the mid-range guy, Devin Booker at 8. Number 7 would be Luka. I think he's a defensive liability. His fourth quarter success can dip like last night. But he is, on any given night, the great scorer in the league. You can't stop him. There's a Harden quality. He's a bigger, stronger Harden that he just he can get 45 points a night, and it doesn't feel like it's that strenuous. So, he's averaging also 4 made threes per playoff game. That is a ton. Number 6, I'd rate him higher, Ja Morant, because I think he maintains his energy throughout. And he also leads all remaining players in clutch scoring. That is I don't have the numbers in front of me. I got to believe that's a very rare accomplishment for a player this young to lead